Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome the dedicated students to class, and we also welcome the fair weather students to class. The dedicated students are students who come to class whether it is shining or raining. The fair weather students are those who come to class only when the weather is fair like this. They know themselves, we won't mention names of these fair weather students. Of course, we know our dedicated students. So this is Modern African Drama in continuity. Moving on to two contemporary and emerging voices in Modern African Drama, and it appears we are really making some real progress here. And in doing that, we have a number of plays there, but we want to look at Grit. We want to look at Grit by Obari Gomba. Obari Gomba is one of the emerging voices in African drama today. In fact, in Nigerian drama as well. Remember that he won the Nigeria Prize for Literature in 2023, and that was the year I won the Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism. And the memory is still there because I remember that night when I got into the venue of the event in Lagos at the Eco Hotel. I happened to sit beside him on the same table, and when my award was announced and I went to accept it, I came back and I told him that he will be the next, that I'm going to announce him as the winner of the Nigeria Prize for Literature. He did not believe, but it happened. And since then, we've been more like friends, mentor, and all of that. We still talk to today. And it's an amazing person as an individual and as a writer. Of course, I got a copy of Grit and I wrote a review on it. I have a paper that I'll write on it soon. My company, Planeo Publishers, also markets Grit. Let's just look at the work by looking at the author's background first of all. So Obari Gomba is from Rivers State of Nigeria, Eleme local government area, from a community known as Alesa. Gomba is an award-winning poet and playwright. He lectures in the Department of English, University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria. He has won many awards for his literary masterpieces, including the Association of Nigeria Authors Prize for Drama in 2018 with his play Gorilla Post. In 2022, he won the Power Prize for African Poetry with The Lilt of the Rebel. And as I've said already, he won the Nigeria Prize for Literature in 2023 with his play Grit that we want to study today. So he's a highly decorated artist. So what do contemporary writers talk about in drama, especially in Africa? Modern African drama in Africa, what do contemporary writers talk about? Contemporary writers continue to grapple with the post-colonial issues, bedeviling the continent, particularly leadership problems. The leadership crisis occupies our playwrights. And this leadership problem is perennial as far as African literature is concerned. Because if you look at the line of the text under this topic in the course outline, you realize that most of the plays talk about leadership problems, beginning with even Wole Soyinka's A Play of Giants, which is about dictatorship, the problem of dictatorship in Africa. how incompetent our leaders are. And you might ask, why do incompetent leaders get to be on the throne? It is by design. It is by design. If you want to be a leader, you want to occupy any political office today in Nigeria, just act as if you don't know anything. Because once you want to act as if you know anything, they will throw you out. That's why we have dysfunctional leaders ruling on. Leaders that we are not sure of their certificates, leaders that we are not sure of their educational background. They said the president only has his degree listed on the INEC documents and not his primary and secondary school certificates. So leaders that have these dysfunctional backgrounds are the ones that are enthroned. Why? It is by design, because when they rule, they do not know their left from their right, because they are not intellectual. They do not know that even if they want to choose an intellectual to rule, they have to choose an intellectual that is completely depraved and morally bankrupt. Someone without any sense of what is right or wrong. If they don't know that about you, they will not choose you to lead even a village, to be even a village head. And this problem is, this issue is transactional. There's a kind of transaction that exists between the African elite and the foreign powers that are interested in exploiting or the continuous exploitation of Africa. And so they collaborate to ensure that only the people that are sure of will be leaders on the continent. And that's why we have all these problems. If any leader comes up that resists them, that's not one of them, that wants to do the right thing, wants to develop Africa, because Africa can develop even in 5 years, 10 years. But since 1960, Africa has remained backward. Why? Because the leaders that we have collaborate with the outsiders to exploit the continent. They build big houses, and then they hand over the resources to the US, to Europe, to China, to profit from the continent, and whatever benefits the leaders only benefits themselves and their families. They don't care about the common people. And then they reward their enforcers, people who write good things about them on social media, people who do their dirty jobs for them. Those are the ones they reward. And so when they now say the government of the people for the people, and it's an irony, and it's a lie, because they do not look after the people. They're not looking after themselves, as we'll see in this play Great. So that is one of the most important issues raised by contemporary playwrights in their work, leadership crisis. And we know the source of the leadership crisis. America, Europe, China do not want proper leadership in Africa. They want a leadership that serves their interests. And they will go to any length to install that kind of leadership. Enrolling them, that the ones who fund the election. And then they have evil agreement that they sign, so that the contracts will go to those foreign firms. You see them come up with a very big project, like this, they will now call it Lagos Coastal Highway. You ask yourself, who are the contractors? They are not from Nigeria, because of the deal that they made. And you look at the contract sum, and you begin to fear. And you look at the oil deals, the kind of policies, they know that these policies are not good, but they implement them because they want to reward their paymasters abroad, who funded them and allow them to stay in power. If they don't do as they agreed, they will remove the next moment, or they will be threatened and removed. So when you see good leaders who are doing well on the continent, you see them get into trouble all the time, like the one in Burkina Faso. He's not that boy. And so if they have tried to kill him countless times, France has tried to kill him countless times, even using people that are close to him. If they had their way, he would be out, because him being there is denying France their food, their resources, their exploitation of Africa. And so this leadership theme that we're talking about is in phases. Right now we are looking at, I am one of those I'm proposing post-colonialism, where we look at the leadership crisis from the point of view of assigning agency to African leaders, telling them you cannot continue to blame the colonial masters for your problem. Because if you look at the Burkina Faso example, if you choose to be independent, you can be independent. There's just a little risk to it. And you can actually serve your people. Not saying, oh, my hands are tied because of colonial law, because of the CIA is after me. You take responsibility. First of all, tell your citizens the truth. Because otherwise we are just fooling ourselves. That's why when I meet critics who talk about African problems and they don't get to the roots, I get annoyed. Why is your criticism necessary when it does not solve problems? You're just crashing around. You need to evolve theories that actually deal with real life issues and bring about real solutions. So with the Burkina Faso example, nobody can question my theory, because when it shows that when the Burkina Faso example has shown that when the leadership, if we want to change our country, our leadership should take responsibility. And that's how we will to now say, okay, yes, we have Europe, America are trying to bring us down, but we can fight them. But when you don't take responsibility, when you don't take agency, you don't acknowledge your agency, then you make it look like you cannot do anything, you are helpless. You are not helpless. And so the old theory about leadership in Africa is gone, and gone for good. The practical theory now is post-colonialism. The idea that African leadership must be held to account for whatever happens on the continent. They cannot claim that they cannot do anything about it because they are threatened by the CIA and MI6 and other foreign interests. And so you need to hear the message too, because someday you might also be made councillor or chairman of a local government. And they will ask you to sign the agreement, whereby when money comes in, they will share it already. And whatever is left is just to pay salary. Nothing remains to be used for the people. And you tell them you're not going to sign that kind of agreement, or you walk away, or you fight for the rights of your people to have water, to have transportation, to have healthcare. Although I feel if you see the money that is meant for you, you alone, you say, now, you look the other way. And the problem is that selfishness will continue to cost your people development. And then you go on the social media, we are developing our local government area. No, we've done this, we've done that. Leadership is not supposed to be selfish. Leadership is supposed to be for everybody. Leadership is supposed to be for the interest of the people. In fact, the leader is not even supposed to benefit, because leadership is self-sacrifice. But our leaders are the ones enjoying now while the people are suffering. So I hope that the time will come when we get the ideal leadership in Africa, in Nigeria in particular, because other African countries are waking up and dismantling colonial structures, asserting real economic independence and developing the continent. We in Nigeria cannot be left behind. That's why they choose people who don't know their right from their left or left from right. And they are greedy, selfish people. People of questionable character, the ones leading us today. Let's look at the background to the play. Obari Gomba is great. It's a political drama. It's full of intrigues, schemes, and plots. The play in many ways reminds us of the Nigerian and African political terrain. The play depicts the idea that what affects the personal constitutes the political. That is, the personal is the political. The play also demonstrates that little things matter in the long run. Gomba is able to achieve all of this because of his power of dialogue, his deployment of humor, and suspense in the work. It's a play of suspense. In this work, Gomba believes that given the kind of political system that we operate, the violent overthrow of the system is necessary. There are some systems that you can overthrow through peaceful means, like election. But has any election ever worked in Nigeria? Beginning with the one that involved Mko Abiola. We are told that was a fair election in this country, but was he allowed to become president by the will of the people? He was not allowed. The foreign interests were not allowed. They don't want good leaders to rule us. They want the ones they pick, the evil ones they pick. to rule us. And that's why Abiola was not allowed to rule by the will of the people. They pretend to be conducting elections. They don't conduct any election. They simply field their people in positions of power. So in that kind of system, violent overthrow is necessary as far as Gomba is concerned. Gomba's grit is didactic. That means it teaches moral lessons. It makes us to reflect on the kind of politics we play in this country, this continent. Politics where a brother fights against a brother, where family members lose all forms of filial love just because of politics. A brother might kill a brother. Father might kill the son because of money, because of interest in power. Friends will betray friends. What kind of politics is that? Because of politics, because of power, because of office, people betray, people lose sense, people disregard what is sacred. What have people not done for power and political offices in this country, including lying against the innocent, killing, doing ritual, human sacrifice, animal sacrifice, bribery, corruption. What have they not done? Not to achieve power, burying people alive, running cults, secret societies, and using the power from there to perpetuate themselves in power, frightening the populace during elections with guns, scaring them off, making them run into the house while they carry the ballot boxes away. What have people not done for power? That's the kind of thing that Obari Gomba portrays. Which schools us on the need to resist evil, on the need to stay pure, and not sacrifice people for positions of power. Because when you burn down the village, where and who will you rule? You will simply rule over the ashes. Greed teaches us against inordinate ambition, trying to get power at all costs, and in the process sacrificing friendship and relationship. Let's look at the plot and the synopsis of the play. Gomba's greed has a non-linear plot structure because the play begins from the end. Greed has a non-linear plot structure because the play begins from the end. The play also has a circular plot because the action begins where it ends or ends where it begins. The play centers on the political ambition of two brothers, Oyeslo and Okote. So it's unfortunate that the characters are not rooted in the author's cultural environment. Because as Gomba said, the characters are his own imagination, not rooted in any culture in the world. Otherwise, we'll have found out what Oyeslo means and what Okote means. So these two brothers, Oyeslo and Okote, are contesting for the chairmanship of the People's Council in a place called Sonofa. Sonofa itself is not any place that you can link to Africa and Nigeria. It's also the author's imagination. So this kind of characterization deprives those studying naming in pragmatics of the opportunity to study the meaning of the characters in this world. That's an issue. As I said, Oyeslo and Okote are contesting for the chairmanship of the People's Council in Senopa. And you know, when two brothers are sparring for the same position, it shows that there's something wrong somewhere. It shows unhealthy competition. It signals inordinate ambition. It portends ill, given the nature of a political environment. So this aspiration threatens the peace of the family, and it also threatens the peace of society, because brothers are in contention. And when you look at it metaphorically, when you look at it symbolically, you realize that we are all brothers and sisters. And so when we go into the political arena and vie for position and disregard rules of humanity and begin to hurt the other person because it's our opponent, what Gomba is simply saying that we are hurting our brothers, our sisters, we are hurting ourselves, we are hurting our family. because we are Africans, we are Nigerians. Politics is not supposed to turn us into enemies. Or the ambition to occupy political office is not supposed to turn us against ourselves. That's the message that Gomba is sending out to us in this play. So this kind of ambition does not only threaten the peace of the family, it threatens the peace of the society. And in the play, the past returns to haunt the present. Because that's what happens in politics. If you want to know your past, if there's anything that happened in your past that you were not aware of, what should you do? Just say that you want to go for an election. Not a government chairmanship, just maybe your village head. Just want to be the village head of your community. That way people will just laugh. It's a big that boy. You know, they now start telling you what happened in the past that you didn't know. You get, start telling you history. That's when you know that you have historians in your community. Historians without PhDs, without degrees. Both Oyesilo and Okote have a military background. Thus, they have intelligence and the tactical skills to function in politics, or at least the kind of politics we play in Nigeria, where you need information to ruin your opponent. You need to go and dig out the dirtiest information to come and ruin your opponent. You need intelligence and military background, or you need people in intelligence service to get that information, or even to watch the moves of your political enemies. Know where they are at the moment, know what they are planning, know where they are going to. You need the skills. And that's why most people go underground when they want to join politics. That's why they join all these secret societies and cults, so that they can have underground information. And they could send someone to be very close to you without knowing that that person is working for the other opponent. The person is very humble, very devoted, and worships you, and you think that that person is your man, and you tell him all your plans, and the person is looking into the real master that is working for. That's how dangerous our politics is. Because if they don't get close to you, they cannot know anything about it. So they have to find a way and get someone close to you that will be feeding them with information. This is how empires have been infiltrated. Governments have been infiltrated. When the opponent sends people that appear to be loyal to the other person to them. And which is why before politicians admit people into their camp, they usually go through rigorous processes that sometimes could be spiritually dangerous. Some require you to take oaths, require you to swear to juju, some require you to swear to shrines that you are loyal. So it's not you come out to say, I'm loyal, sir. Sir, I'm loyal, that they will accept you. No. You have to go through the process. So even when you come out of the process, you will not think of being disloyal, even for one day. Even the place they will take you to, the strange things you see, will teach you better to be loyal. The women of Sonopa are led by a woman leader called Matefi. The women of Sonopa are in support of Okote and have asked him to contest against his brother Oyeslo. So sometimes even the community that will cause problems among brothers. Oyeslo appears to be a less popular candidate in the play, owing to his political ideologies, owing to his party affiliation, and owing to his political motivation. He appears to be the less popular candidate. Oyeslo belongs to the Democratic People's Alliance, DPA. This party committed a crime against Oyeslo's family in the past. So it is quite sad and ironic that Oyeslo now pitches his tent with this party, because this party is the party that murdered Oyeslo's mother many years back. And Okote is in opposition to this party, and he believes that he must contest that election so as not to allow his brother win, because he sees his brother's action as morally wrong, to associate himself with a party that indirectly or directly caused the death of their mother. So the mother was said to have been murdered by party agents who were forcefully collecting levies from the women in the market, which is a sign of bad government. Oyesilo's mother had stood up to them and she was killed for her bravery. So as I always say, the way that the agents of the state treat the common people reflects the way the government feel towards or look at or view the people. Or it reflects the government's disposition towards the people. How the police in the society treats you, how the party agents or other state agents treat the people reflects the way the government view the people. So Oyesilo claims that he had avenged the mother's death by killing the person who murdered the mother, while Okote criticizes Oyesilo for still having political ties with those who caused the murder of the woman. But then, it is revealed that Okote is an adopted child in the family. That means not a child of the family by blood, which makes Oyesilo to question his rights in the family, especially in laying claim to Oyesilo's mother. So you were adopted, so you're not really the son of my mother. And so what rights do you have in the family? Okay, so this is how adopted children are treated in families, and that connects us with Eyoitam's Don't Marry Angelica, for those who have read that one. The father of Oyesilo and Okote is Pa Yemeni. He is concerned about the political ambition of his sons and the consequences of that ambition to the peace of the family. But he can only advise, as any good father should do. And he tries to maintain objectivity between them, not showing that he loves one of them more than the other. So that is the headache that Panyimenu carries in his old age, seeing his two sons quarreling and him trying to stand in between them and act objectively, despite knowing whether this one is right or wrong, or whether this other person is right or wrong. This ambition also causes problems among the spouses, the contestant spouses. For instance, Mede is Oyesilo's wife. She is fed up with her husband's skewed political ideology and machination. Remember, Oyesilo believes in violence. He believes in using whatever means available to occupy political office. So his ambition has isolated the family, separated the children, and led to loss of love in the relationship between husband and wife. Now, Okote has a girlfriend by name Bulu. Bulu has been Okote's girlfriend for 20 years. And in addition to that, she's now pregnant. She's pregnant without a ring. And because of the problem in the family, she wants to abort the baby. That action is symbolic. Because if the baby represents the future of the family, then to abort the baby means that given the crisis in the family might destroy itself totally, and there's no future for that family. That's what I mean? Because in literature, events are symbolic in themselves, especially in drama. It will only take the intervention of Panyimenu for her to reconsider her decision, though she vows not to marry Okote. Panyimenu is suspicious. Remember that Panyimenu is a member of the Grit Club, which he formed himself. So Grit Club was founded by Panyimenu to bring about justice in society. The club operates underground, uses intelligence to gather information to know the bad acts in society and deal justice to them, to keep society safe. So this is why Panyimenu is always conscious, right, of things. So he's suspicious. He thinks that there are external forces acting to pull down his family, maybe as an act of revenge. So in his bid to find more answers, Panyimenu reassembles the elders of the Grit Club, an activist group that he formed when he was a youth as a form of resistance to evil in society. Through intelligence gathering and rounding up agents of evil with enough evidence to prosecute them. The surviving elders of the Greek club are Pa Panti and Pa Baton. So the duty of these three persons is to find out the necessary information that will save the lives of Oyeslo and Okote, because in the play we see that Oyeslo and Okote do not have control over their ideas, over themselves, over their ambition. Rather, they are simply tools in the hands of their parties to destroy themselves and their family. That's how deep the plot of the play is. So it is soon revealed that the fight between the two brothers, Oyeslo and Okote, is orchestrated by forces in the two political parties who do not want the family to survive because they have moral standing and they have political value, they have high moral standing that threatens the value of the parties. You know, the parties are corrupt. The two political parties are corrupt. And they cannot stand any individual whose values do not align with the corrupt values. Anyone that tells the truth, that speaks the truth in that place called Sonofa is a threat to the existence of these two political parties. And they will do everything necessary to bring them down. That is the main problem. And so that's why they're inciting them to fight against themselves when they're supposed to be united. In a desperate bid to maintain the supremacy of the political parties, such individuals must be destroyed. So when you see, when we say Nigeria is so corrupt, we need people to come and save Nigeria, and then you now stand up and say you want to go and save Nigeria. The very people that are saying that they need people to come and save Nigeria are the ones who will come and carry you and sacrifice to, because the current structures favor them. They survive through the current structures, corrupt structures. And so they will say, yes, a good person has come out to rule us. You don't know that they have been sent to come and bring you down. They come and say, yes, you are the one we want. We've been looking for this type of leader all these years. You don't know that it is the other political parties that send them. So if you look around this country today, there's no opposition political party that is working very well. They are embroiled in one political crisis or another. Who do you think is the cause of that? And yet in their own party, there's no crisis. Everything is going well. All right? But these other opposing political parties, there are crises. Some of them are having cases in court and all of that. There's even one of them. There's one of them in government in Abuja, who is also a member of another political party. Sure, you know this person?
Yes, sir.
Sure, you grab?
Yes.
What is he doing there? You are serving this government, and you are a member of this political party, and since you are, as long as you remain a member of that political party, it has always been trouble. It's a scheme. So they will send people with a lot of money to go and infiltrate those political parties. And the political parties themselves, they won't even have sense. Whoever brings money, they will now accept. And when it is the right time, those people will strike. What are they supposed to do? Cause division, cause problem in the political parties. So that the ruling party will be the only one standing at the end of the day. This is the fate of Okote and Oyeslo. It should be noted that Okote wanted to run as an independent candidate, having realized the moral bankruptcy of the two political parties. It is like saying, some people saying in the US, oh, I support the Democrats. The other one say, oh, I am a Republican. I support my candidate. The two political parties are just working for the CIA. They take instructions from the CIA. And the presidents don't have control, including Obama. He did not have control. He was the one who killed Gaddafi. And so when the people praise them as leaders, because we know we have the right information, We know that we have the deep knowledge of these things. We just laugh. These guys are people, before they enthrone you as a US president, you must be ready to work for the system. And the system is the one created by the CIA. And the CIA is only interested in maintaining American supremacy in the world, not just American supremacy, but white supremacy. And so they just brought Obama to look like, oh, they have finally accepted blacks to be president. Because Obama is ideologically aligned and will do whatever they ask him to do. In fact, Obama is the president that obeyed CIA instructions most, including killing Gaddafi. They simply told him, look, Gaddafi is a threat to our world power and supremacy. He will unite Africa, make Africa have one currency, one flag, one economy. We cannot allow that. And they took him out, and while Gaddafi was dying, we were praising him. We were praising Obama and America because of the lie they sold to us. Gaddafi was a bad person. That time we didn't have social media. And so we didn't even know anything. We simply heard and believed what the BBC told us. They took him out. And even though African leaders knew the truth, they warned those African leaders to stay clear. And they stayed back because they were all cowards. Nobody could challenge the CIA. Nobody could challenge Obama. Not to kill the best president that Africa has ever had. And now Libya is in shambles. The ghost of his former self. So it should be noted that Okote wanted to run as an independent candidate, having realized the moral bankruptcy of the two political parties. However, when he's arrested by the police, through useless party's machinations, and the United Progressive Party's leaders come to rescue him, Okote decides to run as a candidate of the party. So this is also the technique. When you are in trouble, all right, they will come and act like they want to help you, that they're helping you. But what they're doing is recruitment. And when they recruit you through that help, they're simply going to use you to further their agenda. So they simply divide themselves into two groups. One group acts as the bad guys, the other group acts as the good guys. So when the bad guys slap you, the good guys will come and say, don't mind those idiots, we're going to take care of it. But they're the same people. You need to have sense. The system is so corrupt, like that. So even the UPP guys, the United Progressive Party, are working together with the DPA to destroy useless family. So Okote, in his stupidity, his naivety, not stupidity, naivety, he's simply saying, oh, these people are my saviors, they love me so much. They just love me so much, so I am going to run using the umbrella. It's like they believe in my ideology. To the two brothers, the leadership of the two political parties have met and decided their fate. To get the two brothers arrested during a debate after their thugs have created a well-planned chaotic scene. Somebody once said that in politics, there's no coincidence. And that if there is ever a coincidence, if a coincidence ever takes place, that it is planned. You can write down that. In politics, there are no coincidences. But if there is a coincidence, know that it was planned that way. It is in politics that accidents are planned and executed. It is in politics that accidents, things that we call accidents, you know what accident is? Something that you didn't plan. Something you don't have control over. But in politics, accidents can be planned and well executed. That's politics for you. So in life, there is not, in politics, there is no coincidence at all. But if they ever describe a coincidence for you or to you in politics, know that it was planned that way. You need to get sense at all costs. You must get sense at all costs. So they simply planned that the thugs will cause problems during the debate, and they will now blame it on Okote and Yeslu, and then arrest them and charge them, put them away in prison forever and forever. Where is Nnamdi Kanu? These things have happened before. Even what happened to Ken Saro-Wiwa. They just take advantage of the situation. You say you want to do protest, they say, okay, so let's just use that protest and get him this time. You know? And now before you know, you see people coming and say, we will support you in that protest. We are ready to support that protest, but they are the ones who will cause problem in the protest. That's why they normally say that protests are hijacked in this country. You will say, oh, my protest is going to be peaceful protest. Before you know it, people are slapping people. People are running, and then they say, who organized that protest? But it's not your people that caused it, though. It's their people that they sent. But because you were the one who organized the protest, they will catch you. So Payimenu's team fails to beat the intelligence, thus leading to the arrest of Oyeslo and the bullet wound incurred by Okote while running away from the police. When Payimenu is told of the hideout of his enemies, his decision to commit arson in order to wipe out these enemies leaves the audience gaping as the play comes to an end. He wants to go there. That reminds us of the gentleman of the jungle, right? Because, as I said, there's a system that is run by evil people. People that are so evil that even if you go to them and kneel down and beg them, because they are sworn to the devil that forever and forever they are going to be wicked, they will not change. All right? And so what approach do you use with such people? At the end of the day, what is left for you to do is to, you understand? Sure you know. Sure you get. and that is the methodology that we have in the Gentleman of the Jungle. And that's the methodology that we have here in this play. Okay? The same method, right? And what that means in artistic terms is that violence is an instrument that can be used to restore order in a chaotic and anarchical society. And that fits into the Marxist script, the Marxist script and Marxist creed. So this play is a Marxist play. It's the ideology that undergirds Obari Gomba's grit is Marxism. Because Marxism believes in the instrument of violence as a tool for political change. Yes, peaceful means can be used to cause political change, like elections. For instance, when Goodluck Jonathan was made to leave office through the ballot for Obari to come in. But there are times when elections do not work because history has shown in this country that the politicians do not allow free and fair elections to take place, so that we can elect proper leaders. Even the political process itself, how can you sell presidential form, 200 million? Only thieves will afford that money now. Only thieves can afford 200 million to buy form alone. And after that, they now start planning for election campaign. So by mentioning that amount, they simply draw a line. Because any credible person who does business with integrity, where will you get that money from? But they know where they are getting that money from. Somebody abroad will fund them. So one of those deity companies abroad that has interest in our resources will give them more than that. And then they'll sign deal. So it is immediately they mention the money that you need to contest the governorship that you know. Leave it. The system is not for us. Nigeria is not for us. How many times did they tell you that Nigeria is not for you? So after they said the youth are the leaders of the tomorrow, but when they mention the amount you need to contest the election, you know that they don't care about the youth at all. Subject matter. The subject matter of this play is social unrest arising from inordinate political ambition. Society will never be at peace when unhealthy competition characterizes our politics, because one party will always do whatever it takes to outdo and outsmart the other, including killing, maiming, tricks, plots, intrigues, and all of that. This is the kind of politics that we play in Africa. politics of backstabbing, politics of betrayal, politics of lies and misinformation, politics of blackmail, politics of staining the opponent's image. That is, we call it mudslinging. Politics of tricks and intrigues. In Nigeria, if you don't have tricks, if you cannot lie, you cannot be a politician. It's as if to tell truth, to say the truth, is a crime in Nigerian politics. The fact that Oyesilo and Okote are brothers is indicative of how politics usually divides people who have hitherto been family and friends. See people who are brothers and sisters from the same village, from the same town. But when it gets to politics, they're holding each other by the neck. So Obari Gomba wants to demonstrate that all of us are brothers, often pitched against one another due to our various ambitions, leading to unhealthy competition that can birth monstrous events like the ones recorded in the play. In such circumstances, societal personages often classed between into good and evil. However, in this play, at the end of the day, everything is jumbled up as the plot winds up and we find it hard to distinguish good from evil. Because we will question your morality of trying to use evil to counteract evil. Setting. Obari Gomba's play is set in a community called Sonofa. The play has a contemporary setting, and given the texture of the play, we can situate it in Nigeria and Africa, but Gomba has said that Sonofa does not really have any cultural roots in Africa and Nigeria. It could be anywhere. It could be anywhere in the world. Sonofa could be anywhere in the world. Let's look at the themes in this play. We said Shalom. Let us look at the themes in this play. Greed has such themes as inordinate political ambition, fear, trauma, family quarrel, the conflict between personal and the collective interest, selfishness, political manipulation, politics as a dirty game, appearance versus reality, among others. So inordinate ambition is seen in the aspiration of the two brothers, especially Oyesilo. He wants to go into politics for all the wrong reasons. As a retired army officer neglected by the system, Oyesilo wants to go into politics as a way of compensating himself and lifting his family out of poverty. Please, is that a good reason to become a leader? No. You're supposed to become a leader because you want to develop your people, the land. But that is the problem with our politicians. They simply go into politics to lift themselves and their family out of poverty and forget about the people that they are supposed to serve. Not only this, his methods are bad, his political methods are bad, in the sense that he believes in the ideology of using all means available, including violence, to do what? To further his political ambition. Oyesilo sees politics as war by other means. Then we have fear and trauma in Greek. In fact, fear and trauma is a motif in Greek. The major characters are depicted to be living in fear and hence responding to traumatic events in their life. So to understand why most of the characters act the way they do, we need to understand the important events, the traumatic events that they have occurred in their life. For instance, Mede, Oyesilo's wife, lives with the trauma of witnessing her mother-in-law's murder by the agents of the Democratic People's Alliance. She understands and acknowledges the fact that both Okote and Oyesilo react differently to the loss of the mother. Oyesilo reacts through anger and killing the murderer. Okote reacts by grieving forever and forever. This is how we begin to understand the frustration and anger that undergirds Oyesilo's politics, leading to his violent political and ideological leanings. He enters politics. Oyesilo goes into politics in order to exact revenge. The theme of family quarrel is seen in the two brothers. Their political ambition pitches them against each other, turns them from brothers into enemies. So politics is the arena where brothers fight against each other. The theme of conflict between personal and the collective is reflected in the selfish reasons advanced by Matefi for hating Oyeslo, enough to lure Okote to contest against his brother Oyeslo, in order to pay back Oyeslo's mother for stopping his son Oyeslo from marrying Matefi's daughter. So people bring personal grievances to politics. And that is what we observe all the time. Sometimes people even want to occupy common offices, all right? And in that bedroom, they'll say, when I get that office, that person that insulted me that time, that other person that did not greet me when I was walking by that time, they start writing that this is what I'm going to do to him, what I'm going to do to her. So people bring personal grievances to bear in public offices, which is wrong. And that's why we have problems in our society. People use the political office to further personal interest. So you can see what Matefi is doing, that the mother did not allow the son to marry your daughter. So, and the bitterness is still there. So we have Bambo, the constituency head of the DPA, who has a grudge against Payimenu for testifying against his uncle, and the mother charges that got the uncle in prison. Can you imagine? So that's politics for you. People bring personal grievances to bear in their politics. Oyeslo has a selfish reason in going to politics. He wants to better himself and his family. It is only Okote who has the interest of the collective at heart, but he makes a terrible mistake by accepting the hand of friendship extended by the UPP and going against his earlier decision to step down for his brother Oyeslo if Oyeslo opts for independent candidacy. Almost all the important characters in the play have selfish interest as they negotiate their political paths. When Okote finally decides to stand election, his reason is no longer to serve the people. He is out to crush his enemies, including Oyeslo and his party agents and officials. Now, he now embodies the political ideology of the UPP against the DPA and his brother. The two parties portray without even knowing that the two parties are using them against each other. The two parties are afraid of the moral grandstanding of Oyeslo and Okote. As I said, the two political parties are afraid of the moral grandstanding of Oyeslo and Okote over the mother's demise, especially Okote's personal values, which conflict and sharply contrast with the dark values of the two parties. This explains the sinister plots to destroy and afterwards fill Yasuo as the consensus candidate for the election. Most of the actions depicted in Grit serve to portray the perception of politics as a dirty game. From how Oyeslo slaps his brother Okote, the verbal abuses, the clash between the women of Senofa and the thugs of Oyeslo's party, to the plot by the parties to destroy the brothers. Politics, as played in our climes, is seen to be deep and murky. In politics, things are not as they seem, things are not as they appear. That's appearance, between appearance and reality. Appearance versus reality. People cannot be taken for their appearance and their words. Otherwise, how would the reader have known that Matefi, who leads the women to praise Okote and request him to stand election, is actually luring Okote to his destruction and the destruction of his family? Characterization. The major characters in Grit are Payimenu, Oyeslo, Okote, Mede, Bulu, Matefi, and Tanse. The minor characters in the play are Papanti, Pabatam, Foku, White Eye, Yasuo, Opirete, Oyoma, Kakwa, Obata, Mwewe. So Payimenu is the father to Oyeslo and Okote. He's a retired school teacher, an activist when he was a young person. He is highly principled and has the mind of a philosopher. Most of the philosophical statements in the play are made by Payimenu. One of the One of the statements goes thus: I have seen the just suffer. I have seen the truth defeated. Those who express grit are beaten to bits of grit. Paimenu has conflict management prowess, seen in the way he intervenes in the political feud in the family. He advises the sons and their wives and fights desperately to protect the family and its survival. Paimenu represents the force of good in the play, but unfortunately he succumbs to the use of violence towards the end of the play as he no longer has faith in the working of the existing system. In this, Paimenu has a Marxist view of life as he aims to transform society through social upheaval. Paimenu is a dynamic character. Then we have Oyeslo. Oyeslo is Paimenu's eldest son. He's Okote's brother. He served in the army until he retired after losing his leg in a war. However, he falls into hard times. Remember how the Nigerian system neglects the retired officers, especially those who were wounded. However, he falls into hard times as neglected by the system. Oyeslo is married to Mede and have 3 children, 2 boys and a daughter. When the play opens, Oyeslo's marriage to Mede is in shambles as the couple struggle to survive the political turmoil in the family. Oyeslo finds it hard to trust his wife as he wonders why her loyalty lies with Okote. He suspects that she loves Okote more than him, and so on and so forth. In the play, one of the mistakes that Oyeslo makes is accusing Mede of having an affair with Okote during their politically motivated quarrel. He is depicted as a hot-tempered person. Perhaps he acquired this temperament when he was serving in the army. It is said that Oyeslo manipulated his brother Okote into joining the army to spite the father when Okote reported to him how he was assaulted by a soldier. Oyeslo is depicted as a flat character. He is unbending, unchanging throughout the narrative. He chooses the path of violence by joining the Democratic People's Alliance, the people that had a hand in his mother's death, in a bid to fulfill his ambition of becoming the chairman of the People's Council in Sonofa. Oyeslo's characterization represents how power politics can alter the individual, ruin marriages, and destroy family relationships. It is during political quarrel that Oyeslo brings up the parenthood of Okote in order to justify his actions, since he perceives Okote as not being his real brother. That's why I always say that politics will tell you your history, your true history. Oyeslo is directly or indirectly involved in the plot that got Okote arrested during a clash between the women and the DPA thugs. He remains nonchalant throughout Okote's incarceration. Unknown to Oyeslo, he, alongside his brother Okote, has been designated as Pharmaco. Check the meaning of that word. By the party. Have been designated as what? Pharmaco. This is revealed in the end when he has been arrested through the machinations by the leaders of the party. Oyeslo can also be seen as the villain in the play. Let's just look at Okote, then we can do the rest for yourself, because the notes are there. Okote is the foil of Oyeslo. A foil is a character whose dominant traits are in opposition to another character. Okote's politics is different from Oyeslo's politics. He is depicted as a more humane and people-centered politician. He is ideologically inclined and wants to get into politics in order to serve the people. But like Oyeslo, he is naive and fails to discern the machinations of the parties which have orchestrated the conflict in their family for political gains. Okote is said to be impulsive and explains why he makes important decisions without careful thinking, like abandoning his medical profession to join the army simply because he's told that being in the army will make people to respect him. Okete qualifies as the hero of grit. Okay, that's where we bring our discussion on grit to an end. We'll meet again. We'll take one play, if possible, and then that will be the end of this class. Have a very beautiful, beautiful